some surgical gloves or some rubber gloves to protect your hands, and a pressure gauge to check the air in your tires.
Manuals.
We've already mentioned how valuable your owner's manual is. There are a couple of other manuals that can help you in your quest for automotive knowledge: factory technical manuals and consumer repair manuals.
Factory technical manuals are the be-all and end-all of repair books. You can find them at a dealership's parts department. Written by manufacturers, these monsters are chock full of everything you could possibly want to know about your car.
The drawback is they're written for professionals or technicians, so regular schmoes like us can't really understand them. And they can be pricey too, at $100 a pop. But if you want the whole Megillah, the factory service manual is invaluable.
Consumer repair manuals are written with the car owner in mind. They usually cover a model of car over several years. For instance, the Toyota Corolla 88 to 93. You can find these guys at auto parts stores, large bookmarks, and even your public library. At about $20, a consumer manual is a sweet deal. The Haynes brand is a good bet because they're technically strong and pretty easy to understand. Now it's time to make a new friend.
Your friend, the auto parts store.
Oil filters, piston rings, overhead cams, intriguing car scent sprays. The auto store has it all. But don't let all these weird foreign objects throw you off.
Just think of the parts store as a library for your car. Everything is classified, organized, and has a killer reference department.
These guys know a lot about cars, including your car. They're a great resource to have, and they want to help you, so use them. They might even have some service reference books that they'll let you look through.
Now that you know all about auto stores, let's shift gears and talk about being prepared.
What to have in your car at all times.
Despite our best laid plans, things go wrong sometimes. You can anticipate life's little crisis, however, by preparing a car emergency kit.
A couple of general tools are a good place to start. A few different sized screwdrivers, an adjustable wrench, and a pair of pliers.
Fluids and belts are good too. Motor oil, antifreeze, and some spare belts are great for getting you back on the road.
Include some rags, a service manual if you have one, and some moist towelettes. A flare and a help sign are good ideas too. You can keep everything in a box and put it in your trunk for easy access.
Okay, you're all set if gremlins attack your car. Now, onto all your vehicle's wetware.
Fluids. Cars need gas to operate. This you know. What you may not know is how gas makes your car go. We're going to tell you right now.
Immersed in your fuel tank is the fuel pump. It pumps gas through the fuel line and into the fuel injectors.
These injectors push the pressurized fuel into cylinders, where a high-voltage spark, delivered to the tip of the spark plug, ignites the gasoline.
This moves pistons and crankshafts in your engine and eventually leads you to peeling out of your driveway in search of high-fat ice cream.
We've simplified the process, of course, but you get the idea. Now, what kind of gas should you use? That fancy schmancy expensive stuff? Or the really cheap stuff?
You've probably noticed the numbers on gas pumps when filling up. These are octane ratings. These ratings measure the tendency of a fuel to knock.
Knocking is that annoying metallic rattling sound your engine decides to make. The higher the octane rating a fuel has, the less tendency it has to knock. So what's the upshot of all this?
If you use the gas your owner's manual recommends, it's unlikely you'll have any knocking problems. The car manufacturer will probably suggest 87 octane, aka regular unleaded.
So unless you have knocking problems, using a premium high-priced gasoline doesn't help your car one bit. You don't get better gas mileage or a cleaner engine. You'll just pay more. Speaking of gas mileage, here's a painless way to check yours.
At your next fill-up, write down the odometer reading and how many gallons of gas you put in. Then, at the second fill-up, write down your new odometer reading. Subtract the first odometer reading from the second. Then take this number and divide it by the number of gallons purchased. This last number is your gas mileage.
Do this a few times to confirm your average gas mileage.
Different drivers get different mileages. A hot rodder probably won't get as many miles per gallon as the Sunday driver.
Short trips, city driving, and bad road conditions all decrease fuel economy. Keep track of your mileage. A sudden drop in MPG may be an early warning that something is wrong. I'm sure you know how to pump gas, but here's a quick tip. When the nozzle stops, stop there. Overfilling your gas tank can force raw fuel materials into parts of the emission control system, which can cause damage. Besides, gas on the ground is bad for the environment.
Oil, black gold, Texas tea.
Oil is ultra important for the smooth running of your car. In the engine, there are lots of fast-moving metal parts in close contact. If these parts rub together, they get hot, wear down, and can even weld together. Oil keeps everything slick and slippery, like wet soap does when you wash your hands.
The first thing we'll show you is how to check your oil. When your car is running, oil is running too, all through your engine. When you turn off your car, all the oil drops and collects in a pan at the bottom of the engine block. This is what you're measuring when you check your oil.
First off, make sure your car is turned off. Don't ever check your oil while the engine is still on. For best results, wait until it's been off 3 or 4 minutes. This allows the oil to drain from the engine into the pan.
If you're on a tilted driveway, you'll get an incorrect measurement because the oil in the pan will shift to one end. So make sure your car is on a level surface.
Now release your hood. You'll probably find the release lever on the bottom left of your instrument panel. After unlocking the hood, you need to flip a little lever under the hood to open it all the way. Don't be fooled by this. Prop open the hood and locate the dipstick. It's a long rod that sometimes has a loop in it for your finger. Have a rag ready, then pull the dipstick from the reservoir and wipe it clean with the rag. You'll notice 2 lines on the dipstick. The one closest to the end is the add line, and the top one is the full line.
Next, reinsert the dipstick. You can even push it down a little bit to make sure it's all the way in. Now pull it out again and check the level of the oil on the rod.
It should be somewhere between the add and full lines. If it's even or below the add line, then it's time for some of that Texas tea.
So what kind of oil do I use, and how much do I add?
Check your trusty owner's manual. It'll probably tell you to use SAE 5W30 oil. If not, go by whatever it says.
Put in about half of the quart jug. To add the oil, find the cap to the oil reservoir, found usually on the front top part of the engine. Your owner's manual will have a good diagram of where it's located.
Just be sure you don't confuse the oil reservoir with the radiator cap.
Go ahead and carefully pour the oil into the hole. Don't worry if a little spills. Just wipe it up so it doesn't smoke when the engine gets hot. You can use a funnel if you want to, or a paper cup with a hole punched in the bottom.
Now just wait a couple moments to let the oil settle in the pan and check the level again. If it's still low, add more oil a little at a time. Now everything should be A-OK.
It's very important not to overfill your engine with oil. Excess oil between metal parts can work itself into a lather, officially known as aeration.
What if I do overfill my oil?
Then you just need to drain some out. You do this the same way you change your oil, which we'll explain next. It's a little more involved than checking your oil, but anybody can do it if they're willing to get their hands dirty.
Because the most expensive single part of your vehicle is the engine, it's imperative that you give it good care. It relies on a constant supply of clean oil to live a long life. You should change your oil every 3,000 miles or 3 months, whichever comes first. Cars that receive limited use during the 3-month period are actually more at risk than those that are driven a lot. That's because short trips and low mileage are much harder on your engine than longer trips and commutes.
To change the oil, you'll need the following tools: your goggles and rubber gloves, a wrench, a drain pan, fresh oil, drive-up ramps, a new oil filter, and an oil filter wrench, available at any auto parts store for $3. Make sure you get a wrench that fits your filter. If your car is totally cold, you need to let the engine run for a few minutes to get the oil flowing. On the other hand, if the engine's warm, you need to let it cool down a bit. Hot oil can burn you. You have to get under your car to change the oil, so it's imperative that you